All right, today we are diving deep into the essential laws designed to protect children in Trinidad and Tobago. And look, these aren't just dry, dusty legal texts. These are the rules that define responsibility and accountability for absolutely everyone in the community. So let's kick things off with the most basic question the law has to answer.
So, where do you even start with something this big? Well, think about it. Before you can protect a child, the law first has to define what a child even is, right? And as you're about to see, it all boils down to a few really critical numbers. Okay, first up, defining childhood. These are the ages that basically set the legal boundaries for protection.
The starting point for all of this is the Children Act of 2012. It lays down one super clear overarching rule. A child is anyone under the age of 18. Simple as that. This number is the bedrock for everything else we're going to talk about.
And they didn't stop there. In 2017, they really hammered this home. To get rid of any and all gray areas, the Marriage Act was changed, making 18 the minimum age for marriage for everyone, no exceptions. This created one single, consistent standard of protection right across the board.
But what about the other end of the spectrum? The law also recognizes an age of innocence, really. Under common law, a child under 7 is considered incapable of forming criminal intent. What that means is they can't be held criminally responsible for their actions.
Okay, now this is where things get a little more nuanced. When we start talking about the age of consent, it's not just one simple number. As you can see here, the law sets the age at 18 for sexual penetration, but it's 16 for sexual touching. This kind of two-tiered system is designed to provide different levels of protection depending on the severity of the act itself. All right, Section 2, Crimes Against Children. Now that we have those ages locked down, the law can then spell out exactly what actions are illegal. Let's take a look. One of the most important offenses the law goes after is sexual grooming. And this isn't about one single action. It's about that whole predatory process of an adult building a child's trust, whether it's online or in person, all with the horrible intention of sexual exploitation. And get this, the law doesn't wait for physical harm to happen before it kicks in. The penalties here are incredibly serious. Just the act of traveling to meet a child after grooming them, that alone can land someone in prison for up to 20 years. The laws around child pornography are just as tough. The Children Act casts this incredibly wide net, making it illegal to do pretty much anything with this material, from making it and having it, to sharing it, or even just accessing it online. And crucially, it also targets anyone who tries to get a child involved in making it. The law is also really smart about recognizing that some adults just have a unique kind of power over children. It's called a position of trust. It's a specific legal idea that applies to people like teachers, doctors, coaches, or guardians. Basically, anyone who has authority over a child and a special duty to care for them.
And because that responsibility is so huge, the punishment for violating it is the most severe you can get. A sexual offense involving penetration committed by someone in a position of trust can actually lead to life sentence. The message from the law couldn't be clearer. Abusing that power is the ultimate betrayal.
Okay, on to Section 3, the duty to report. Because you see, protection isn't just about punishing people after something terrible has happened. The law actually creates a proactive duty for the community to step in, making child safety a shared, legal responsibility.
And just to be super clear, this isn't some friendly suggestion, it's a legal requirement. The Sexual Offenses Act is black and white. People in these specific roles, parents, teachers, doctors, must report it if they have any reasonable belief that a child has been sexually assaulted.
Yeah, the wording in the act itself is so direct. It says you shall report as soon as reasonably practicable. It's not telling you to get around to it eventually. It's a command to act right away. And doing nothing? Well, that has some really serious consequences. Failing to make that mandatory report can hit you with a fine of up to $15,000 and possibly even 7 years in prison. The law is practically screaming it. Silence is not an option. All right, Section 4, holding offenders accountable. So let's say a crime is reported. How does the system make sure there's justice? Well, the framework has some pretty powerful tools to hold people accountable even when they try to cross borders.
And a big reason for that is this powerful legal idea called extraterritoriality. It sounds complicated, but here's what it means in simple terms.
A citizen of Trinidad and Tobago can't just fly to another country, commit a horrible crime like child trafficking, and think they're home free. Nope. They can be brought right back home and prosecuted as if the crime happened right there on home soil. Another key tool for accountability is the National Sex Offender Register, which was set up in 2019. For certain high-risk offenders, a court can actually order that this key information, their name, photo, address, and what they did, be published on a public website. But, and this is a really crucial point, the full register is confidential. It's only for law enforcement to see. That public website only has info on offenders when a judge specifically says, publish this. So it is absolutely not some open database of every single offender. Okay, our final section, broader legal shields. It's so important to remember that all these specific offenses we've talked about, they're all part of a much bigger interlocking legal system that's designed to protect children from all angles. Think of it like a safety net with multiple layers. You've got these powerful laws against human trafficking, the absolute ban on FGM, that Marriage Act we mentioned earlier, and the amendments that created the Sex Offender Registry. They all work together to build this multi-layered defense for kids. So the legal framework is there, the rules are on the books. But that leaves us with one last really big question, right? Laws on paper are one thing, but what does it take to actually turn them into real, on-the-ground protection? You know, the next step isn't just up to lawmakers. It's about how all of us, as a community, use this knowledge to build a truly safe world for every single child. Thanks for watching The Explainer.